people are different from each other. So you could describe the same quote unquote traumatic event. Like we could speak of, for example, sexual assault, which is all too frequent a phenomenon for feminine people, right? And but not everyone experiences that. That experience doesn't mean the same thing for each person, right? So again, the same trauma has different effects because people are different from each other. There are all sorts of other variables that come into play. And in some sense, that's so banal and obvious, but it's really important because this then can also help shift the focus from the content of a particular trauma to thinking about trauma as a certain kind of energy that maybe even as trauma can cause us to be broken down, that it also can be a breaking open, a resource for transformation. And I want to say that very carefully. This is not to romanticize trauma. This is not an endorsement of trauma, but it is to say that people are not just felled by it. We're not just collapsed by it. We do things with it. And we do things with it that also in that transformation will take advantage of the materials that culture offers to us. And some of the materials that culture offers to us, I suppose this is also an answer to people who are like, oh my gosh, there's like a contagion of transness. All these kids think they're trans. Well, actually, there are more children using that language of themselves. There are more adults using that language of themselves, in part because it's now more possible to have that language. There are more, and this is itself to do with history and activism, but this is now part of the cultural material that we can then use to sort of make sense of our trauma or to transform it into new shape, to transform ourselves into new shape. So again, that's to think about trauma and transness, not in this causal way, but almost in this kind of astonishing and amazing contingency of what we do with something that we might not have wanted to happen to us, trauma, taking advantage of material that we didn't put out there, but there it is, cultural material, and we can shape something that becomes ours, right? So that this agency of gender, it's a strange agency. It's not volitional, but it's still ours that we've made.